How's it going, people? With Survive the Horde returning on April 2nd, I figured it's a good time to refresh everybody's memory on how it works and explain what it is for those of you who are new. I'm going to show some of the best loadouts. I'm also going to explain how it works. But first, I want to show some of the changes that were made to it this year. And the main changes that were made this year were the changes made to the rewards you get for different challenges. And big shout out to Archer for giving us a heads up in regards to these new rewards. And the power level of the Survive the Horde you do doesn't really matter. If you complete one Survive the Horde with the weekly mod, you'll get the new Flutter hero. And this is the hero that came with the Wisp Light perk. We will be reviewing her as soon as we get her. Just complete any Survive the Horde weekly challenge. If you complete 3 Survive the Horde runs with the weekly mod, you'll get a weapon voucher. If you complete 5 Horde runs with the weekly mod, you'll get a hero voucher. If you complete a challenge level 2 Horde run, you'll get 1,000 gold. If you complete a challenge level 3 Horde run, you'll get 200 common perk up and 200 rare perk up. If you complete a challenge level 4 Horde run, you'll get 200 epic perk up, 200 legendary perk up, and 1 core re-perk. And if you complete a challenge level 5 Horde run, you'll get 200 pure drops of rain, 200 lightning in a bottle, 150 Eye of the Storm, 100 storm shards, and 1 core re-perk. Now before I show all of the different mods and challenges, the first thing I want to do is explain how Survive the Horde works. There's a total of 15 waves, and each wave is going to have a modifier. Here's a spreadsheet I made showing what kind of enemies you can expect for each wave, what type of wave it is, and the modifiers you can expect on each wave, as well as whether or not the wave has a mini boss. I'll leave a link to this spreadsheet in the description if you want to go check it out. But for kill waves, you just have to get a certain number of kills. For pillar waves, you'll have to destroy the pillars or the monoliths that spawns around the objective. When it comes to pillars, melee weapons do deal more damage against the pillars, but it's also more dangerous to use melee weapons. You can still use your ranged weapons to destroy the pillars. That way you don't have to get near the husk and put yourself in danger. So I would still recommend using ranged weapons when it comes to pillars. On wave 3, you'll get a total of 10 pillars. On wave 9, you'll get a total of 17 pillars. And on wave 13, you'll get a total of 28 pillars. By wave 4, you should be able to craft a xenon bow. On wave 6, you're going to see your first mini boss. It's a kill wave. By wave 8, you should be able to craft your discharger, which you'll need for the later waves. On wave 11, you'll get 2 mini bosses to spawn in, and that's also a kill wave. On wave 13, you'll get another mini boss to spawn in, and that's another pillar wave. Wave 14 is another kill wave, and on wave 15, you'll have a timed wave where you have to defend the base for a total of 5 minutes. And this is definitely going to be the hardest part of the entire Survive the Horde, because you're going to have a lot of mini bosses spawn in on this last wave. So you want to make sure that you have a discharger crafted. You also want to make sure that your base is fully upgraded with tier 3 structures. And you also want to have a lot of ceiling traps as well as wall traps. And I believe the slow field also helped us out last time we did this. The power level of the husk will increase for each wave. It starts out at 152 on wave 1 and it ends up being 357 on wave 15. If you do the power level 140 Survive the Horde, there's a total of 4 different possible locations that you'll have to defend. But every time you do Survive the Horde, you'll only have to defend 3 of them, and which 3 you get is random. But those 4 different locations are the volcano, which is the newest location that we got last year. There's also a cavern, which they changed up a little bit last year. Here's what the cavern looks like. We also have the mine, which is this area, and we also have the depot, which is this area of the map. In between each wave, you're going to get 2 supply drops to fall out of the sky, and you can tell where they're located by looking at the green beam of light in the sky. That'll tell you where the supply drops are going to drop. And you'll want to have at least one person go get those while everybody else runs to the next base and build. And you'll get anywhere between 1 minute to 2 minutes to build in between each wave. But that sort of sums up how each wave works and what you're going to want to look out for when you do Survive the Horde. I'll leave a link to some Survive the Horde gameplay in the description if you want to go check it out. So now that we know how Survive the Horde works, next thing I want to do is show all of the different modifiers as well as all of the different challenges. Now for those who are wondering what the weekly mods are, I'm going to go ahead and run through those next. There's a total of 11 of them. If it's the same as last year, the challenge for week 1 is going to be the Storm Surge modifier, and it causes safe zones within the storm to get smaller. Also, lightning strikes will frequently target the team, giving players and Husk alike a nasty zap. you'll be able to get the Gnome Rave spray by completing the Storm Surge weekly challenge. Here's what the Storm Surge looks like. You'll see like a little blue area right before lightning strikes, and whenever I got hit by lightning, it would take away my entire shield. And if you get hit by lightning, you'll see electricity around your body for a few seconds after, and I believe it also increased your movement speed for a few seconds as well. I don't believe it'll deal any damage to your structures, but I do believe it also deals damage to Husk. The challenge for week 2 is called Low Gravity, and this makes the magnetic field shift, rendering hoverboards inoperable and changing the effects of gravity. Jump higher and move faster as your melee attacks knock back the hordes of Husk. For Low Gravity, you'll get 500 event tickets. Week 3's challenge is called Melee Mayhem, and this causes ranged weapons and ammo from supply drops to be limited, and any ranged attacks made against Husk will ricochet off and also damage you. But on the bright side, your trap damage and melee attack speed will be boosted. So put away those guns, craft some extra traps, and start swinging. For the Melee Mayhem weekly challenge, you'll get the Husk Horde spray. The challenge for week 4 is called Hasty Husk, and whenever you damage and kill enemies, it'll just make the horde move more quickly. And if they get close enough to start damaging you, they'll start healing themselves. So you'll have to focus fire to try to take them out quickly and preferably at a distance. For Hasty Husk, you'll get 500 event tickets. Week 5 is called Windswept, and it says hold on to your hats, it's getting gusty out here, threatening players with a rash of tornadoes. And they will deal damage to your structures, so you'll want to have a base down, preferably with the power base constructor, either as your commander or in your support team, so the base heals itself. For the Windswept challenge, you'll get the Horde's Hunt spray. The challenge for week 6 is called Slow Burn. It says feel the burn as Husk drop an acid pool after being eliminated. Beware of the Husk attacks inflicting you with a slowing status effect, making avoiding the acid pools tricky. For Slow Burn, you'll get 500 event tickets. The challenge for week 7 is called Unflappable Husk, and it says the horde has become unstoppable, ignoring all crowd control effects. Try and avoid their attacks as they now leave a lingering damage effect when they hit you. To help you out, your sniper assault rifle, SMG, shotgun, and pistol damage have been increased, and traps have become more lethal. Use your newfound power to keep the horde at bay. And for Unflappable Husk, you'll get 500 event tickets. The challenge for week 8 is called Fast Forward, and this causes the waves of enemies to make their way faster than ever, meaning you'll have less time to build and gather supply drops. But don't let intimidation slow you down. Move fast and get things done in this race against time to survive the horde. For the Fast Forward weekly challenge, you'll get the Headstone spray. The challenge for week 9 is called Smog of War, and this one causes volcanoes to erupt. You'll see a thick cloud of ash coat the area, which reduces visibility significantly. Also, your radar won't function properly, so enemies won't appear on your map. For the Smog of War, you'll get this banner. The challenge for week 10 is called The Floor is Lava. If you stay on the ground for too long, it'll cause a damaging lava eruption below your feet, so you'll have to constantly keep moving or take refuge at an elevated position to avoid taking damage. For the Floor is Lava weekly challenge, you'll get 250 gold, and the challenge for week 11 is called Not Space Rocks. And it says defend your bases and keep your eyes in the skies for falling volcanic debris from above. And that's pretty much like the Space Rocks modifier you see in war games. And for the Not Space Rocks weekly challenge, you'll get this banner. So again, when we say complete one horde with a weekly mod, we're referring to these weekly challenge modifiers. You'll get this banner by completing Survive the Horde once. You'll get this banner when you complete it twice. You'll get this banner when you complete it 3 times. And you'll get this banner when you complete a power level 140, Survive the Horde. Next thing I want to go over are the different difficulty tiers. So as soon as you load into Survive the Horde, you're going to see this screen appear. And these were the power levels available if you selected a power level 140 Survive the Horde. It should be different if you selected a lower level Survive the Horde. In order to unlock the higher tiers, you'll first have to complete the one before it. And like I showed earlier, these challenges can give you extra rewards. So if we look at the picture we saw earlier, challenge level 2 will get you 1,000 gold. Challenge level 3 will get you common and rare perk up. Challenge level 4 will get you epic and legendary perk up, as well as a core repurk. And challenge level 5 will get you Pure Drops of Rain, Lightning in a Bottle, Eye of the Storm, Storm Shards, and Core Reperk. So that's what we mean when we say challenge level and weekly mods. I also want to show some of the best hero loadouts, weapons, and traps to use. This first one's more of a DPS loadout, and with this one we're using Dragon Scorch with the Blakebeard Stash team perk. And I know Blakebeard Stash got nerfed, but it's still reliable when it comes to Survive the Horde. For our support team, we have Willow, Privateer Hype, Snuggle Specialist Sarah, Blakebeard, and Crossbones Barrett. And you're mainly just going to be spamming your abilities. It's going to help kill a lot of Husk, which is really good when it comes to kill waves, which is going to be majority of the waves. Another good DPS loadout is a Teddy loadout, and for this one we're using Jingle Jess with the Happy Holidays team perk. For our support team, we have Ventura Ramirez, Gumshoe, Trailblazer Quinn, Stare Down Southie, and Jilly Teacup. You're also going to have at least one, most likely two constructors. And with this first constructor loadout, I would recommend using a power-based constructor with the Supercharged Traps team perk. And for our support team, we have Base Kyle, Electro Pulse Penny, Mega Base Kyle, Thunder Thora, and Warden Kyle. And another constructor loadout I would recommend is the Warden Kyle loadout with the Supercharged Traps team perk. This is the one I used last year. And with our support team, we have Base Kyle, Power Base Penny, Thunder Thora, Ice King, and Mega Base Kyle. And when it comes to gadgets, you'll definitely want to have at least a couple people using a slow field. They're really going to be useful, especially with the later waves. You'll also want a couple people using the turret. You won't really need supply drops because you get supply drops in between each wave. You won't really need Adrenaline Rush if you have somebody using Warden Kyle. And I guess the banner could be useful. It does increase the health of your buildings, which is going to be useful for the later waves, but you're not going to be able to respawn on it because in Survive the Horde, you don't respawn until the wave is over. But it is useful for making your walls stronger. So yeah, turret, slow field, and maybe one person with a banner. Those are the gadgets I would recommend using, and those are the loadouts I would recommend using. When it comes to weapons, I would recommend using the Xenon Bow. You should be able to craft that by the 3rd or 4th wave, and this is the main weapon I use on pillar waves to destroy pillars. If you don't have the Xenon Bow, I suppose you could use the Deatomizer, but the ammo's a little bit more expensive with that one. Another weapon you're definitely going to want to use is the Plasmatic Discharger, and you should be able to craft this by the 8th wave. And you don't want to use this on every wave. You mainly just want to use it on waves that have a lot of smashers and on waves that have a lot of mini bosses, because it does require more ammo. But for all the other waves, you'll want to use the Xenon Bow. If you don't have the Discharger, I suppose you could use the Pot Shot, but those are the weapons I would recommend using. When it comes to ceiling traps, the best ones to use are the ceiling drop traps. You're going to want to place this all around the base, and you'll also want to use the ceiling electric field traps directly over where they spawn at. So those are the two main ceiling traps I would recommend using. When it comes to floor traps, you'll want to place the floor launchers directly around the base just to push them back. And directly outside of the base, I would recommend using tar pits, because not only does it stop Husk, but it can also stop smashers when they're charging at your base. So I would also recommend using those. And I suppose a couple of other floor traps you could use are the wooden floor spikes, just to slow them down. And I guess you could also use floor freeze traps. Don't really need healing pads if one person in your team is using Warden Kyle. And you'll need to use anti-air traps around the base and also on top of the base, like on the roof. You'll need to use those as well. When it comes to wall traps, the main one I used was wall darts. Suppose you could also place some sound walls around the base just for the propanes, but the main wall trap you're going to use is wall darts. So those are the traps, weapons, and heroes I would recommend when it comes to Survive the Horde. Also, before I go, I do want to quickly show how much XP you can earn from Survive the Horde. And shout out to Archer for giving us this picture. The amount of XP you can earn if you do all 15 waves is shown on the second column from the right. So if you're able to complete all 15 waves, you should get 228,000 Battle Pass XP. And that doesn't include any bonus XP you can get. That's just from Survive the Horde itself. But yeah, that sums up all the tips I have for this one. Before I go, I did want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's been using Creator Code A1, and also wanted to remind you that it goes away every 2 weeks. So you may have to put it back in there, but just want to say thank you. Your support's really appreciated. And I also wanted to give a shout out to our YouTube members. Anyways, if you need help with Survive the Horde, be sure to join our Discord or follow on Twitch, because I do plan on helping people on Twitch. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.